Okay, so I have a D&D session in about 2 hours, and dude, I've nothing prepped, so come along with me, and we're gonna bang this stuff out. I have a big session, a lot of stuff going on that I really need to just lock in and get done. So I'm gonna show you how I keep stuff really quick, how I'm able to prep sessions very fast, and also how I use it with the models and terrain that I build myself. Okay, so come on. So we got a bunch of stuff to do. Let's see. First, I have to get a map of the general encounter that's going to be going on here. So yeah, we have to design that first encounter. We also kind of have to design the entire outpost that this little mini adventure is taking place in, so that has to happen too. And then we also have to figure out what NPCs are going on here, and then also lead that into lead-ins slash hooks, which are going to take it into the next sessions. So all of this needs to happen, but we're going to prioritize the encounter design because a good chance that this takes up most of the session. Okay, so the first thing I do for every encounter is I need a map to figure out what we're doing. And I usually go and I find a map online, but since this adventure is kind of happening in limbo, it's like, it's a very specific encounter that I don't think I'll actually be able to find a map for. So I'm going to have to quick draw out a map, which I'll use in the session for all the models and stuff, and then I'll flesh out what's actually going to happen in it. So I use this 1-inch grid paper for all the encounters that I do because it's super easy to put models in each of these squares, and then each of them is just 5 feet, so it really works out well to scale. So I'll draw our map on here, and then we'll figure it out. So this is obviously a really basic map, and usually I do stuff that's more than this, but we're kind of strapped for time. So this is the general layout of the area, and then I'll add in some more like scatter terrain, provide cover and stuff. And then, of course, in the encounter, the actual models will be here. But this is a good start for what we want to do. Okay, so now I have to figure out what actual stat blocks I'm going to use for the encounter, because there's not really the exact stat blocks that I'd like for this in the monster manual. So we're going to kind of have to improvise and play around with some different source books and find what we find. Okay. So now these are all my rule books. You really don't need these. There are PDFs of them all over online. But I'm going to start flipping through these and finding kind of the monsters that I want to use for this. And then we'll see how it goes. So this is everything I found. I'm liking a couple different things. First, I think I want to put a Mind Witness in here, but kind of reskin it as a limbo creature. And then I also really like the villain actions from Kingdoms in Warfare by Matt Colville. I'll put the link in the description for this, but it's a very cool book. I think I want to take not the full stat blocks from here, but just the villain actions, and just put it in here to kind of give it some more chaos stuff. But I want to be careful here because I want to save some for the final BBEG. And yeah, anyways. So by no means do I think it's necessary to combine stat blocks and stuff like this, but I'm just improvising because there's no real stat blocks for the stuff I want to use. So this is just the way it's going to have to be, and we'll figure it out. So now we need to kind of design the rest of the outpost here. What I usually like to do for this is to just find another map that someone else has made. It's way easier to just steal from somebody else and figure it out as you go along than to have to draw the whole thing. So I generally like to go on stuff like Pinterest, literally, and just look up outpost map or like small building map for D&D, and you find them pretty easily. You just kind of have to search through until you find one that you find interesting, and then don't even look at what they have written down for the different rooms and stuff. You totally have to just wing it and do it yourself. I guess that's what we're gonna do now. So once I've found a map that I actually like, I'll throw that right into my notes Google Doc. This thing is getting ridiculous now. It's almost 100 pages of notes on my campaign. I'll just throw it in and start kind of writing up what I think the different areas are going to be about. So generally most maps will have little markers where we'll say like room 1, room 2, stuff like that. And on this it doesn't quite have that, but I can add those in post if I want to. So then I'm just going to start brainstorming just random ideas for what all the different rooms are like, and just trying to find stuff that makes sense and that's consistent with the storyline. Because nothing feels worse than walking into a room and it being a tavern, but you're like in the middle of the underworld. It's just, it has to feel consistent and feel like it's real. Okay, enough of designing that. Let's see what's up next. Okay, so when we're making NPCs, there's one thing that I like to think about, and it's an acronym called OGAS. Okay, the O here stands for occupation. The G stands for goal. The A stands for alignment, and the S stands for stake. Okay, so this is something we can use to really easily figure out what an NPC will do in any given scenario. So for this, we're trying to figure out what the mind witness we're designing is up to. He's kind of the general leader of this establishment. So occupation, he's obviously the kind of the leader of the outpost, in charge of everything that's going on. And he oversees everybody else and makes sure that everything's running smoothly. Goal, he wants to, you can be really creative with this. You can say he wants to ascend through the ranks and go to a higher level of society, or get promoted in his rank or whatever. We'll say that. His alignment, it's a little bit iffy. I think we're gonna go chaotic neutral to chaotic, probably chaotic evil almost, for his alignment. He's kind of messed up. And then stake is quite high. He's this evil overlord who will probably just like kill him if he doesn't get stuff done right. So his stake is high. He's really gonna fight for things, and he's not gonna turn around and run because he'll get hunted down and taken over. So that's just something I use to really think about what my NPCs are gonna do. It's just super quick. We have very little time left, so I'm just gonna go with this and kind of keep it up in my head. Maybe write a few quick notes about it, and then call it good. So, I like to think of a campaign, a D&D campaign especially, as like a lot of these little islands, you know? This is kind of like the climax of the story, this is the start, and this is the end. And all these islands are just they're the different adventures and the different subplots that go on in the campaign. But the issue is it's hard work getting from one to the other. It's kind of painful and nobody really enjoys it. So your goal as the DM is to kind of just building these bridges from one island to the next so that the campaign can flow smoothly as they feel connected. And I must say, I've struggled with this in the past, and this is something that is quite hard to do at times, but building these bridges is super important. So that's what we're going to do now. We're working on subplots and hooks for the next adventure. So I've already been thinking about this here, but one of the things I want to put in to this little adventure is a ship that's leaving for the ultimate destination that they're trying to go to. So this ship will kind of act as a link to the next story because it's going to give them more clues as to what's going on in their final location. And it's also going to show that these two places are connected. It's going to show that not only are they kind of working for the same person, but this outpost is directly sending prisoners to this final location. It's hard to explain the full context of the campaign in just a short time like this, but it makes sense in my head. Okay, that's it for leadings and hooks at this time. That was a crazy 2 hours, but we got as much done as we could. At this point, all you can do is just say a prayer and hope the session goes well. Thank you guys for watching this. I know it might not have been as interesting or as edited as a lot of my other videos, but this is kind of hopefully just going to show you a high-level view of like what I do. 10,000 feet, not going into too much detail, but just like saying, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this, and hoping you can run with it because you guys are smart. You can figure it out as you go along. They're almost here, so I better go set up.